You take your medication every single day. You try to avoid sugar. You read nutrition labels more carefully than most people ever will. You check your blood sugar every morning, hoping today will finally be different. And yet somehow, the numbers still stay too high. After a while, something inside you begins to break emotionally, because it starts to feel like no matter how hard you try, your body keeps working against you. Many people with type 2 diabetes live with this silent frustration for years. They blame themselves. They think they are not disciplined enough, not strict enough, not doing enough. But what if the problem is not your effort? What if something else is happening inside your body that no one has fully explained to you? Because there is a hidden process taking place in people with diabetes every single day. A process most doctors barely mention during appointments. A process that quietly drains your body of 3 critical minerals your insulin desperately needs in order to function properly. And without these minerals, your body can struggle to control blood sugar, no matter how carefully you follow the rules. This is not about motivation. It is not about willpower. And it is not about failing. It is biology. Most people understand diabetes as a problem involving sugar and insulin, but very few understand what elevated blood sugar actually does inside the body. Hour after hour, day after day, year after year. Here is what happens. When blood sugar rises too high, your kidneys step in to protect you. Their job is to filter excess glucose out of your bloodstream and remove it through urine. In the short term, this is a survival mechanism. Your body is trying to prevent damage from excessive sugar circulating in the blood. But there is a serious hidden cost to this process. When your kidneys flush out excess glucose, they do not remove sugar alone. Important minerals get pulled out along with it. Tiny nutrients your body depends on for energy production, nerve protection, heart rhythm, muscle function, and most importantly, insulin signaling. And because diabetes often keeps blood sugar elevated for long periods of time, this loss does not happen once in a while. It happens continuously, quietly, every single day. This means your body can slowly become depleted without you ever realizing it. No dramatic warning signs, no sudden collapse, just a gradual weakening of the systems your body depends on to manage blood sugar effectively. And over time, the consequences begin to appear. Your insulin stops working as efficiently as it once did. Cells become less responsive. Glucose struggles to move where it needs to go. Blood sugar remains elevated longer than it should. At the same time, your energy begins to disappear. You wake up tired even after sleeping through the night. Your muscles feel weaker. Your brain feels foggy. Simple tasks feel heavier than before. Then come the symptoms many people assume are simply part of aging. The tingling feet, the nighttime leg cramps, the poor sleep, the irregular heartbeat, the anxiety that seems to appear from nowhere, the exhaustion that never completely leaves. But these symptoms are not always just age, and they are not always caused directly by diabetes itself. In many cases, they are signs that the body has been losing critical minerals for years. This is one of the biggest missing conversations in diabetes care today. Because medication can help lower glucose, diet can reduce sugar intake. But if the body is missing the very nutrients insulin requires to function properly, progress often becomes incomplete. You may still feel like something is wrong even when you are doing everything correctly. And that feeling is real. Inside your body, insulin is trying to do its job. It is trying to move glucose from the bloodstream into your cells where it can be used for energy. But insulin cannot work efficiently without specific minerals supporting the process at every step. Without them, the entire system slows down. Think of it like trying to unlock a door with a damaged key. The effort is there, the intention is there, but the mechanism no longer works smoothly. And this is exactly why some people feel trapped in a cycle they cannot seem to escape. Higher blood sugar causes more mineral loss. More mineral loss weakens insulin function. Weaker insulin function causes higher blood sugar, and the cycle continues over and over again. What makes this even more dangerous is how slowly it develops. Most people never connect their symptoms to mineral depletion because the changes happen gradually across months and years. They simply adapt to feeling worse. They assume fatigue is normal. They assume nerve pain is unavoidable. They assume worsening glucose numbers are inevitable with age. But the body is often sending signals long before serious complications appear. And there are three minerals that diabetes drains more aggressively than almost any others. Three minerals directly involved in how insulin is produced, how it communicates with cells, and how effectively your body can manage glucose. The first is magnesium, the second is zinc, and the third is chromium. Together, these three minerals affect nearly every stage of blood sugar control inside the body, and most people with diabetes are losing them every single day without even knowing it. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals involved in blood sugar control, yet it is also one of the most commonly depleted in people with type 2 diabetes. Most people think insulin works alone, but insulin actually depends on several internal processes happening correctly inside the body. Magnesium helps cells respond when insulin arrives. You can imagine insulin knocking on the door of the cell, asking glucose to be allowed inside. Magnesium helps the door open properly. Without enough magnesium, the signal becomes weaker, the cell responds more slowly, and glucose stays trapped in the bloodstream longer than it should. This is one reason insulin resistance becomes worse over time. High blood sugar forces the kidneys to remove excess glucose through urine, but magnesium leaves the body during that same process. Then magnesium levels fall lower. As magnesium drops, insulin becomes less effective. Blood sugar rises even more. Higher blood sugar causes even greater magnesium loss. The cycle continues quietly every day inside the body. Many people focus only on glucose numbers without realizing that mineral depletion may be helping drive the problem underneath. Magnesium also plays a major role in energy production. Every cell in the body uses magnesium to create ATP, the molecule responsible for cellular energy. Without enough magnesium, the body struggles to produce energy efficiently. This is why so many people with diabetes describe a deep exhaustion that sleep alone never fixes. They wake up tired. Their muscles feel weak. Simple tasks become draining. Many assume this is simply aging, but often the body is dealing with long-term magnesium depletion. The symptoms can appear in many forms. Nighttime leg cramps are extremely common. Tingling or numbness in the feet may develop slowly over time. Sleep becomes lighter and more interrupted. Some people feel anxious for no obvious reason. Others notice small muscle twitches or tension throughout the body. Magnesium helps calm nerve activity, so when levels become too low, nerves become more reactive and overstimulated. Many older adults dismiss these symptoms because they believe discomfort is a normal part of getting older. But sometimes the body is not simply aging. Sometimes it is missing critical nutrients needed for normal function. Fortunately, magnesium can often be restored through simple dietary changes. Cooked spinach is one of the best natural sources. Cooking matters because heat breaks down plant fibers and makes magnesium easier for the body to absorb. Adding healthy fats like olive oil or butter can improve nutrient absorption even further. Pumpkin seeds are another excellent option because they provide large amounts of magnesium in a small serving. Almonds, avocados, and dark chocolate with high cacao content also contain useful amounts that support metabolic health without creating major blood sugar spikes. Some people eventually consider supplements, but the form of magnesium matters greatly. Magnesium oxide is inexpensive and widely sold, but it absorbs poorly and often causes digestive discomfort. Many people stop taking magnesium because they think every form behaves the same way. Magnesium glycinate is usually much gentler and easier for the body to absorb. It is often preferred for improving sleep, relaxing muscles, and supporting insulin sensitivity over time. I once worked with a 71-year-old woman who had lived with type 2 diabetes for nearly a decade. Her fasting blood sugar remained high almost every morning, despite medication and careful eating habits. She also experienced severe leg tingling in both feet and constant exhaustion. She believed all of these symptoms were simply part of aging. After adding cooked spinach regularly, eating pumpkin seeds daily, and beginning magnesium glycinate in the evening. Changes slowly began appearing. Within several weeks, she slept more deeply, and the cramps became less frequent. Her energy improved gradually. Over the following months, her fasting glucose readings became noticeably lower and more stable. Eventually, her physician reduced one of her diabetes medications because her numbers had improved consistently. Sometimes the body is not refusing to heal. Sometimes it has simply been deprived of the minerals insulin needs to work properly for many years already. Zinc is one of the most overlooked minerals in diabetes management. Yet it plays a critical role in how the pancreas produces, stores, and releases insulin. Most people think insulin is simply created and sent into the bloodstream whenever blood sugar rises. But inside the pancreas, insulin must first be packaged and stored correctly before it can be released efficiently. Zinc is essential for this process. Inside the beta cells of the pancreas, insulin is stored in tiny crystalline structures that depend on zinc for stability. Without enough zinc, the pancreas struggles to organize and release insulin properly, making blood sugar control far more difficult over time. This means zinc deficiency affects diabetes at the source itself. The pancreas may still produce insulin, but the release process becomes less effective and less precise. For someone already living with insulin resistance, this creates an additional burden on a system that is already under constant stress. Over the years, elevated blood sugar can slowly weaken the beta cells of the pancreas, and low zinc levels may accelerate that decline even further. But zinc's importance does not stop there. Zinc also helps protect the body from oxidative stress, one of the major drivers of diabetic complications. High blood sugar creates unstable molecules called free radicals that damage nerves, blood vessels, kidneys, and eye tissue over time. Zinc supports antioxidant enzymes that help neutralize this damage before it spreads deeper into the body. This is one reason zinc is closely connected to nerve protection and long-term metabolic health. When zinc levels become too low, the body often sends warning signs long before severe complications appear. One of the most common symptoms is slow wound healing. Small cuts, scratches, or blisters may take much longer to recover than expected. Many people notice that even minor injuries seem stubborn and slow to close. Zinc is required for tissue repair and skin regeneration, so without enough zinc, the healing process becomes delayed. Frequent infections are another major clue. People with low zinc often catch colds more easily or struggle to recover from illnesses quickly. Zinc plays a key role in immune function, because immune cells depend on it to respond properly against bacteria and viruses. When zinc stores become depleted, the immune system weakens gradually over time. Some symptoms appear less obvious but are equally important. Strong sugar cravings may develop because unstable blood sugar leaves the body searching constantly for quick energy. Hair thinning can appear slowly over months or years. Skin may become dry, rough, or irritated more easily. Some people even notice changes in taste and smell. Foods may seem duller or less flavorful than before. These symptoms are often dismissed as normal aging, but many times they are connected to long-term mineral depletion. The good news is that zinc can often be replenished through diet. Oysters are one of the richest natural sources of zinc available. Even a small serving provides large amounts in a highly absorbable form. Beef is another excellent source because animal-based zinc is easier for the body to absorb compared to plant sources. Beef liver contains even higher concentrations together with additional nutrients that support energy production and nervous system health. Pumpkin seeds are especially valuable because they provide both zinc and magnesium together. A small handful each day can support multiple areas of metabolic health at once. Lentils and legumes also contain zinc, but there is an important difference many people do not realize. Plant foods contain compounds called phytates that bind to zinc and reduce absorption inside the digestive system. This means the body may only absorb a portion of the zinc contained in those foods. Traditional soaking or sprouting methods can help solve this problem. When lentils or beans are soaked and sprouted before cooking, phytate levels decrease and zinc becomes easier for the body to absorb. Many traditional cultures prepared legumes this way for generations because they noticed the foods became easier to digest and more nourishing overall. Some people also choose zinc supplements, but the form matters greatly. Zinc picolinate and zinc bisglycinate are among the forms most easily absorbed by the body and tend to cause fewer stomach problems compared to cheaper alternatives. However, more zinc is not always better. Taking high doses for long periods can interfere with copper absorption and create a mineral imbalance. Copper and zinc work together inside the body, so excessive zinc may gradually lower copper levels and lead to fatigue or neurological symptoms over time. The goal is balance, not overload. When zinc levels improve, many people notice better healing, steadier energy, fewer cravings, stronger immunity, and more stable blood sugar control. Sometimes the body is not failing. Sometimes it has simply been missing one of the essential minerals. Insulin depends on every single day. Chromium is one of the least discussed minerals in diabetes care, yet it plays a direct role in how insulin communicates with your cells every single day. Most people understand that insulin helps move sugar out of the bloodstream, but very few realize insulin cannot do this job efficiently unless it connects properly to receptors on the surface of the cell. Chromium helps support that connection. You can think of insulin as a key and the insulin receptor as a lock. Chromium helps the lock respond correctly when insulin arrives. Without enough chromium, the signal becomes weaker, slower, and less effective. This is very different from magnesium. Magnesium mainly helps the processes that happen after insulin connects to the cell. Chromium works earlier in the chain. It supports the actual binding and signaling process itself. When chromium levels become too low, insulin may still be present in the bloodstream, but the message it sends no longer reaches the cell with the same strength. As a result, glucose struggles to enter the cell efficiently and begins building up inside the blood instead. This is one of the hidden reasons blood sugar may remain elevated despite medication, diet changes, and serious effort. What makes chromium deficiency especially dangerous for older adults is the role stress plays in draining it from the body. Elevated blood sugar already increases chromium loss through urine, but cortisol makes the situation even worse. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone. It rises during anxiety, poor sleep, emotional exhaustion, illness, and chronic worry. Many people living with diabetes experience several of these problems at the same time without realizing the biological consequences happening underneath. An older adult who sleeps poorly for months, worries constantly about health, or lives under ongoing emotional stress may slowly lose chromium faster than the body can replace it. The more chromium disappears, the harder insulin must work. The harder insulin works, the more unstable blood sugar becomes. Then stress increases again because glucose readings continue rising. Over time, this creates a cycle that feels impossible to escape. Many people blame themselves when the real issue is that their body has lost some of the tools insulin needs to function correctly. The symptoms of chromium deficiency are often subtle in the beginning. Strong cravings for bread, sweets, pasta, or carbohydrates are one of the biggest clues. Many people think these cravings come from poor self-control, but sometimes the body is simply struggling to move glucose into the cells properly. The brain senses an energy problem and pushes the body to seek more sugar even when blood glucose is already elevated. Brain fog is another common sign. People describe feeling mentally slow, distracted, forgetful, or unable to focus clearly. Simple conversations feel harder to follow. Decisions take longer. Physical fatigue often appears alongside this mental exhaustion because cells are struggling to access fuel efficiently. Some people also notice mood swings, irritability, or emotional instability that seems unusual for them. Blood sugar may also become unpredictable. One day the numbers look stable. The next day they spike for no obvious reason. Many people describe this as feeling like their diabetes suddenly stopped making sense. Fortunately, chromium can often be supported through food. Broccoli is one of the best natural sources. It also provides fiber and powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that support metabolic health. Eggs are another useful option because they provide chromium alongside protein that helps stabilize blood sugar levels. Lean beef contains highly absorbable chromium and additional nutrients that support energy production and muscle function. Brazil nuts are also valuable because they provide chromium together with healthy fats and important minerals that support the nervous system. The goal is not perfection overnight. Chromium works gradually inside the body. But when chromium levels begin improving, many people notice fewer cravings, steadier energy, clearer thinking, and more stable glucose readings. Sometimes the body is not refusing to respond. Sometimes it has simply been missing a critical mineral for far too long. Now the full picture begins to come together. Magnesium, zinc, and chromium do not work separately inside the body. They work together like parts of the same system, and when all three become depleted at the same time, the effects on blood sugar control can become far more serious than most people realize. Chromium helps insulin attach properly to the receptor on the surface of the cell. Without chromium, the signal between insulin and the cell becomes weaker. Magnesium then helps the cell respond to that signal after insulin binds successfully. It supports the internal communication pathways that allow glucose to move into the cell efficiently. Zinc works at yet another stage. It helps the pancreas store insulin correctly and release it in the right amount when blood sugar begins rising. These are 3 different steps in the same process. First, insulin must connect to the receptor. Second, the cell must respond correctly to that connection. Third, the pancreas must continue producing and releasing insulin effectively over time. If even one of these steps weakens, blood sugar control becomes more difficult. But when all 3 minerals are depleted simultaneously, the entire insulin system begins operating below its full capacity. The body still tries to control glucose, but the process becomes slower, weaker, and far less efficient. This is why many people with type 2 diabetes feel confused and discouraged. They take their medication consistently, they reduce sugar, they try to exercise, they follow the advice they were given, and yet the numbers on the glucose meter still seem stubbornly high. What many people never realize is that insulin cannot function optimally without the nutritional support these minerals provide. Medication may help lower blood sugar temporarily, but the body itself is still struggling internally because the systems insulin depends on are no longer working smoothly. That is why restoring these minerals can sometimes create improvements that finally make the body feel more responsive again. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually and biologically. The encouraging part is that supporting these minerals does not require extreme diets or complicated routines. In many cases, small, consistent changes can begin helping the body recover step by step. Start with spinach. Adding cooked spinach to one meal each day is one of the simplest ways to increase magnesium intake naturally. Cooking helps release minerals trapped inside plant fibers, making them easier for the body to absorb. Adding olive oil or another healthy fat can improve nutrient absorption even further. Next, add pumpkin seeds daily. A small handful provides both magnesium and zinc together, making them one of the most practical foods for people with diabetes. They are easy to add to salads, yogurt, vegetables, or simple snacks during the afternoon when cravings usually become stronger. Then include broccoli at least twice each week. Broccoli provides chromium together with fiber and anti-inflammatory compounds that support metabolic health. It is one of the simplest foods that nourishes blood sugar control without creating large glucose spikes afterward. At the same time, reducing certain habits can slow down the mineral depletion already happening inside the body. Refined sugar increases urinary mineral loss and places additional stress on insulin signaling. Alcohol interferes with mineral retention and can worsen sleep quality, energy levels, and blood sugar stability. And poor sleep may be one of the most damaging factors of all because it raises cortisol, increases chromium depletion, and pushes insulin resistance even higher. Many people underestimate how deeply sleep affects metabolic health. A body that never fully rests cannot regulate hormones efficiently. Over time, exhaustion itself becomes part of the disease process. This is why healing often requires more than simply focusing on carbohydrates alone. The body is an interconnected system. Hormones affect minerals, minerals affect insulin, sleep affects hormones, stress affects blood sugar. Everything influences everything else. And the number you see on your glucose meter each morning reflects far more than what you ate the night before. It reflects what is happening inside your cells. It reflects how efficiently insulin receptors are functioning. It reflects whether the pancreas is receiving proper nutritional support. It reflects stress, inflammation, sleep quality, mineral balance, and the body's ability to recover from years of metabolic strain. For many people living with type 2 diabetes, this explanation changes everything because it finally helps them understand why effort alone sometimes has not been enough. The body was not simply refusing to cooperate. It was missing critical pieces required for insulin to function correctly. And once those missing pieces begin returning, the body often becomes more responsive again in ways people did not think were possible anymore. If this explanation gave you clarity that no one has ever provided before, share it with someone who is living with diabetes and still wondering why their numbers never seem to fully improve despite trying so hard every single day.